Salah al-Din Yusuf ibn Ayyub, known to history as Saladin, was born in 1137 CE. His family of Kurdish descent fled their home in Tikrit, Mesopotamia, shortly after his birth. They found refuge in Mosul, where Saladin's father, Najm ad-Din Ayyub, served the powerful Zengid rulers. Saladin's early life was steeped in the military and political complexities of the time. He received a traditional Islamic education, excelling in religious studies, jurisprudence and literature. Yet his true passion lay in the battlefield alongside his uncle Asad ad-Din Shirkuh, a renowned military commander. Under Shirkuh's tutelage, Saladin honed his military skills, participating in campaigns in Syria and Egypt. He quickly distinguished himself, demonstrating a keen intellect for strategy and leadership. When Shirkuh, vizier of Egypt, died in 1169, Saladin seamlessly stepped into the power vacuum. He was a shrewd politician, navigating the complex Egyptian court with skill and consolidating his authority. By 1171, at the age of 34, Saladin had secured his position as the undisputed ruler of Egypt, establishing the Ayyubid dynasty. This marked a turning point in his life and set the stage for his pivotal role in the Crusades. With Egypt under his control, Saladin aimed to unify the fragmented Muslim world. He knew a divided Muslim front was vulnerable to the Crusader states. His first target was Syria, plagued by internal strife. Saladin combined military prowess with astute diplomacy. He exploited rivalries among Syrian emirs, drawing them into his influence. Saladin's campaigns were not just about force. He presented himself as a defender of Islam, championing Sunni orthodoxy. This resonated with many Muslims who saw him as a unifying leader. By 1174, Saladin controlled Damascus, Aleppo, and other major Syrian cities. The Muslim world began to coalesce under his banner. This unification allowed Saladin to focus on the Crusader states. The stage was set for a confrontation that would redefine the Crusades. Saladin's success stemmed from his deep understanding of his adversaries. He knew the Crusaders well, their strengths and weaknesses. He studied their tactics and their reliance on heavy cavalry. Saladin favored mobility and adaptability. His armies were adept at swift strikes and sieges. He recognized the importance of logistics. Controlling water sources was as decisive as any cavalry charge. He ensured his troops were well supplied. This logistical advantage was critical against the Crusaders. Leading up to Hattin, Saladin engaged in skirmishes and raids. He aimed to lure them into a decisive confrontation. The Crusaders, overconfident and divided, took the bait. Saladin's planning was about to pay off on the plains of Hattin. The Battle of Hattin, fought on July 4, 1187, was a masterpiece of military strategy and a turning point in the Crusades. Saladin, with his army of around 20,000, skillfully maneuvered the Crusader forces led by King Guy of Jerusalem into a death trap. He lured them into open terrain near the twin peaks of Hattin, far from any water source. The summer sun beat down mercilessly, sapping the morale and strength of the Crusader army, already weary from their march. Saladin's forces encircled the Crusaders, unleashing a storm of arrows that decimated their ranks. His light cavalry harassed the enemy, preventing them from breaking free. The Crusader knights, burdened by their heavy armor and tormented by thirst, fought with waning strength. Their famed cavalry charges, usually irresistible, were stifled by the heat and the relentless attacks. By nightfall, the Crusader army was broken. Many, including King Guy himself, were taken prisoner. The True Cross, a relic of immense religious significance for the Crusaders, fell into Saladin's hands. The defeat at Hattin sent shockwaves through the Christian world. It marked a crushing defeat for the Crusader states and paved the way for Saladin's conquest of Jerusalem, their most prized possession. Section 5. A City Redeemed. The Recapture of Jerusalem. After the victory at Hattin, Saladin's forces swept south, capturing Crusader cities and strongholds. His next target was Jerusalem, a city revered by Muslims and Christians alike. Jerusalem had fallen to the Crusaders in 1099, and its recapture was a potent symbol for the Islamic world. On September 20, 1187, After a brief siege, Jerusalem surrendered to Saladin's forces. Unlike the bloody conquest of Jerusalem by the Crusaders nearly a century earlier, the city's recapture under Saladin was remarkably orderly. He forbade his troops from looting or harming the inhabitants. He understood the significance of Jerusalem to Christians and Jews and sought to establish a just peace in the aftermath of war. Saladin allowed the Christian inhabitants to leave the city safely upon payment of a ransom. Section 6. Mercy triumphant, Saladin's clemency. Saladin's treatment of the defeated Christians stood in stark contrast to the brutality that had often characterized warfare in that era. He allowed thousands of Christian inhabitants to leave Jerusalem unharmed, even providing safe passage for many who could not afford the ransom. His generosity extended even to his defeated enemies. He released Guy of Lusignan, the defeated king of Jerusalem after the Battle of Hattin, and is said to have offered him a goblet of chilled sherbet as a gesture of respect. This act of chivalry, recounted by Muslim chroniclers, became legendary, embodying the respect that Saladin and Richard the Lionheart, his future adversary, were said to have held for each other. Saladin's conduct in victory cemented his reputation as a chivalrous and merciful leader, a stark contrast to the often brutal image of Muslim leaders portrayed in Western chronicles of the time. His actions exemplified the Islamic virtues of clemency and compassion, demonstrating that victory in war did not necessitate the subjugation or humiliation of the vanquished. Section 7. Beyond the battlefield, Saladin's legacy as a ruler. Saladin was not just a formidable military commander, but also a skilled administrator and a patron of the arts and sciences. He reformed the Egyptian government, revitalized its economy, and commissioned numerous mosques, hospitals, schools, and irrigation projects. He recognized the importance of education and scholarship, establishing madrasas, Islamic colleges, that attracted scholars from across the Muslim world. Under his patronage, Cairo, his capital, flourished as a center of Islamic learning and culture. He invited renowned scholars and jurists to his court, fostering intellectual debate and religious discourse. He commissioned the construction of impressive mosques, such as the Mosque of Saladin in Cairo, which still stands today as a testament to his reign. His legacy as a builder and a patron of learning solidified his reputation as a just and enlightened ruler. Section 8. A chivalrous adversary, respect across enemy lines. Despite being locked in a bitter conflict with the Crusaders, Saladin earned the respect of his enemies. Christian chroniclers, while lamenting their defeats, often praised his courage, chivalry, and sense of justice. They marveled at his generosity towards defeated foes, his willingness to grant safe passage to civilians, and his respect for religious sanctuaries. Richard the Lionheart, King of England, who led the Third Crusade against Saladin, is said to have admired his adversary's military skills and knightly virtues. During the siege of Acre, when Richard fell ill, Saladin sent his personal physician to treat the English king. This act of chivalry, though perhaps embellished by chroniclers, speaks volumes about the mutual respect that existed between these two formidable leaders. Section 9. The enduring legacy, Saladin's image through the ages. Saladin's legacy extends far beyond the battlefields of the Crusades. In the Muslim world, he remains a revered figure, a symbol of unity, piety, and military prowess. He is remembered as the leader who reunited the Muslim world, liberated Jerusalem from Crusader rule, and restored the honor of Islam. His name resonates throughout the Arab world, invoked in songs, stories, and popular culture as a symbol of resistance and righteous leadership. In the West, Saladin's image has evolved over the centuries. While initially portrayed as a formidable enemy, he gradually came to be admired for his chivalry, military genius, and sense of justice. During the Enlightenment, he was often romanticized as an example of a virtuous Muslim ruler, a counterpoint to the prevailing prejudices of the time. Section 10. Conclusion. The Sultan who defined an era. Saladin's life and achievements continue to captivate and inspire. He was a complex figure, a skilled warrior, a shrewd politician, a devout Muslim, and a compassionate leader. His victories against the Crusaders cemented his place in military history, while his chivalry and mercy in victory earned him the respect of even his most bitter foes. He left an indelible mark on the course of the Crusades, shaping the political landscape of the Levant for centuries to come. More than 8 centuries after his death, Saladin's legacy endures, a testament to the power of leadership, the importance of unity, and the enduring appeal of chivalry and compassion even in the midst of conflict.